don't think men were more masculine back then than they are now?
Men in general, men worldwide were more masculine because we didn't have feminism. But see, the problem is black women, your mother's generation and your grandmother's generation, they really failed you guys because they told you didn't need a man. So you can't. Right. Who raised these feminine, weak black men that you have a problem with? Who raised them? Who raised them? 80% of black children are born out of wedlock. Who raised them? Mm-hmm. Who?
I don't do that, right? What I did, because I'll just keep it a thou wow. My daughter's mom operates more in the masculine. She'll even tell you, okay, I operated my masculine, right? But my masculine isn't counterfeit because I'm a man. Any woman that operates in the masculine is counterfeit. It's counterfeit masculine. But anyway, my responsibility as a father is to cultivate my child. So if an ingredient is missing in the soil, I need to put that ingredient in the soil. And what I did, I went out and got a wife. I didn't just get a modern wife either. I went to Africa, got me an African wife with African culture, with culture of this is how you are as a woman. This is how you conduct yourself. My daughter talks to her on video chat plenty of times. A matter of fact, my daughter is like, whoa, what kind of creature is this? I can't wait to meet you. And a matter of fact, I'm taking my daughter out there around like September, October of this year. So that's what I'm doing in order to allow my daughter to catch what she needs to catch. Because even just by the way she talks to my daughter's like, whoa, what kind of creature is this? I like what I'm hearing. I'm picking up what I'm hearing.
And that's
how I'm solving that problem.
That's amazing. That's exactly.
Shout out to my brother Walt D.
I wish I could say that I was able to do that, but no. But I have raised one decent man, and I'm raising two more. And I will tell you that my 14-year-old son does things that I have seen grown man just look. Because my 14-year-old son, when we walk into a building, he opens my door. When I get out of the car, when I'm getting out of the car, he gets out of the car first and comes and opens my door. I get out, he closes my door.
Nice.
When we go to a restaurant, he pulls out my chair. I taught him those things. You see what I'm saying? Because I am teaching him these are the things that you as a man are supposed to do. Now, some people will say, well, you're too masculine and how are you raising your sons to be men if there's no man? I don't have a choice. I don't have a choice. Their father is no longer here, and they will be men, plain and simple.
All right. I'm gonna tell you like this: you definitely have a tough job ahead. It's not impossible.
It's not impossible.
It's not impossible, but it is a tough road. It is a tough road ahead.
Yeah, but I also, like I said, I refuse. Even if I were to be in a relationship, the only way people would know is because I told them. You will never, ever see my stuff on social media.
That's good. Keep it off of it.
Because social media is literally, in my opinion, is the downfall to relationships. Letting other people in your business is the downfall to your relationship. If you, like I said, you are advertising. That you're advertising, well, my man does this for me, or my woman did this for me, or look at how, look at how beautiful she is in this dress, or he got a new haircut. And it's all, in my opinion, it's all advertising. And that's what a lot of the modern teenagers and young adults these days, that's what they're all about.
Yeah, they're advertising it. They're advertising not necessarily the right thing, though.
They're always on their phones. Oh, look at this Snapchat picture, that Instagram this, whatever, whatever. But all they're doing is causing more chaos in their lives.
That's right.
Open a book. Open the book.
So
Yeah.
let's segue here now, because now we're talking about the upbringing of men, right? The upbringing of men, and we got to ask the question. The very men that these women are complaining about, we have to ask the question: who's raising these weak, effeminate men? Who is raising these weak, effeminate men? Now, I've seen some parents where they have two household homes. They have a husband, they have a wife, and the husband is a weak ass man. Anytime I see a man and he has a daughter, and the daughter is dressed inappropriately in front of that man, immediately I look at that man like he's a weak ass man. Immediately, that's what I think in my mind. Like, this man is a casualty of war. He's a simp. His wife probably runs him. He might even be hyper masculine. I might have to knock him out. Like, if I try to correct him, I might have there's a chance it could become physical, because this man is a weak ass man. He's a simp guard dog, and his wife runs him. That's what I think, because discipline starts at home. Structure starts at home. There's certain things you're supposed to teach your sons and your daughters. One of them is how to dress and how to move around in public. What say you guys? Who's raising these weak-ass, effeminate men? Who's doing it?
Well, in my opinion, some of that is because people don't discipline their children anymore. They threaten.
Come on, tyrannical mamas. T-Rex.
I'm gonna take your cell phone. I'm gonna do this. You're grounded, but you're not really grounded, because 5 minutes later you're on the phone, you're on the computer, you're watching TV. Like, when I was grounded, man, I couldn't do nothing. I couldn't go nowhere, and I was gonna do the most ridiculous chores that my mama and my daddy could fucking find. They scrubbing walls, cleaning stuff that ain't really need to be clean. That was true discipline. I'm not talking about, spanking your children, but there's many different types of discipline. If you don't discipline, you don't have respect. And if you don't have respect, you got modern day people.
That's right. That's right. So,
and I can say, yes, discipline nowadays compared to back when we were younger is a different form, big time. But it's still, if you don't teach your children discipline, you don't get respect.
Okay, I can rock with that. What say you?
Yeah, I agree.
I
thought you had a video. I thought you had a video.
Oh yeah, we're gonna play the video. I'm gonna play the video right. I gotta get your segment first before I play the video, and then we'll discuss. We'll delineate a little bit more. What say you? So, are societal norms shifting masculinity?
Well, yeah. When I deal with, on the ministry side, when I deal with young adults, the youth and young adults, or even when I'm dealing with men that are growing up that's trying to find themselves, there's two sides to it that's raising weak men. One side has been around for centuries, and it's the simp side. It was created by false chiv false or toxic
False
chivalry,
chivalry.
whatever you want to call it, to where back then, because the Bible in Proverbs 31, it says the man and the woman both do works to make the relationship work, right? But over time, it was like, oh, the more noble of a man you are is the less that your wife has to do. And then in modern times, it came into, oh, happy wife, happy life. And those are the type of men that are raising these young men that said, hey, if you just treat your wife right, she'll treat you right. And that's the biggest lie that has ever been told by these old guys that need to just fade away into oblivion. Because I was even taught that even in church by these simp preachers
Simp.
and simp guys that's underneath the simp preacher that will go to your house. I hate when they go to the house of a single mother, and instead of addressing the problems with that youth of the single mother that's toxic, they'll just say, well, you just need to do what you need to do as a man, and your mother's doing the best job that she's doing. And no, she's not doing the best job that she's doing. And so that's on the simp side. We need to be real about this. But on the other side of it is the social side for the women. It's a divide and conquer. Entities need more single women because they want to be the ones that's raising the kids. And if they're raising the men to be non masculine men, then they don't have to worry about men opposing them when they bring up things that destroy households later. It's a farming technique. Just like I'm not a Republican, I'm not a Democrat, but the far left with this sexual liberation movement is just farming kids for predators, farming kids for trafficking, farming kids because if you're teaching people that they could just have sex with whoever they want and not worry about the consequences, what's going to happen to these kids? These kids are going to be raised by entities. These kids are going to not have protection. These kids are going to be trafficked. These kids are, and so on and so forth. They're going to be raised by the TV. They're going to be raised by school curriculum. They're going to be raised by other sources that want them to be weak. So it's twofold. You have the simp side and you have the entity side. That's who's raising these kids to be weak.
All
Weak
right.
men when they grow up.
All right. Let's go to our brother Kevin Samuels real quick. Rest in peace. And let's see, as he talks to this woman, he tells her, who raised these weak feminine men? Okay.
No, so I'm saying you don't think men were more masculine back then than they are now? As
Men
far
in
as
general,
working?
men worldwide were more masculine because we didn't have feminism. But see, the problem is black women, your mother's generation and your grandmother's generation, they really failed you guys because they told you didn't need a man. So you can't.
Right.
Who raised these feminine, weak black men that you have a problem with? Who raised them? Who raised them? 80% of black children are born out of wedlock. Who raised them?
Mm-hmm.
Who?
We did.
Who's we?
My mom or whoever my grandparents did.
Black who?
Women.
Thank you.
No, so I'm saying you don't think.
All right. So that's an attack at our sisters right there. That's a shot fired. He had to make her realize. He had to make her realize. Who raised them? If the same women that the same men that these women are complaining about that they're making bad choices with, they are the ones choosing. Not only are they choosing these men, they are the same women raising these men. That's what we have to come to terms with. That black woman, that black sister, she didn't want to say it. But in the end, she had to admit it. They are raising these effeminate men. And it's like, again, a lot of these men don't have masculine presences in their life. So they will pick up habits and emotional tendencies and even crutches, it can even become a coping mechanism for them. They pick up women's coping mechanisms, right? And they go out into the world and they operate. And it's good that they know how to open doors and say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, and be respectful to women. But when it comes time to make a decision, that's where we're running into these effeminate men. When it comes time to put your masculine coat on, they're lacking in that area. They're taking a longer time to develop than our predecessors or than our forefathers. You'll find that men were much more mature, probably back in the day, than they are now. I often say this, Walter. You'll see the younger women of this generation in America versus the younger generation of women overseas. And the women overseas seems to be more mature than even our very women here. And what you'll also find is that you'll have young women, and I'm talking about teenagers, right? Young women pregnant, and what's the common denominator? No father. Pregnant, young mother, multiple baby daddies.
Yeah.
Pregnant, young mother. Emancipated minor. These are the situations that you're seeing, and then they're raising the next generation. And where are these women coming from? Let's be honest. They're coming also from broken homes that didn't have a father, from their fathers being pushed out in the 60s and the 70s. The 80s with the crack epidemic. A lot of them fall victim, especially if they grew up in the inner city. Fell victim to drugs and alcohol abuse. And these very same women who are growing up under those families are now getting pregnant at an early age, and they're raising children. They are raising these effeminate men that their daughters and even them are complaining about. They are the common denominator when it comes to weak ass men, because you don't usually find men who are weak when they have a strong father in the home. Am I right or am I wrong?
Come on now. Exactly.
The moment you have a strong man in the home, that home is truly protected. Without a strong man in the home, even though an intruder may not invade, may not come in and attack, that home is still weak, because you may have a house to go into, you may have doors to lock, but are your morals tight? Do you have the structure that's needed for children to thrive? Can you discipline your children without being tyrannical? Can you raise a man to do what he must do and ignore his feelings? Because men always have to ignore their feelings, put their happiness on the back burner, because we have jobs to do that are more important, because people are depending on us. So that's how I see it, man. These effeminate men,
Yeah.
these effeminate men, we have to call them out, and we have to know that they are coming from a broken home model. Again, you can have the mother and the father in the home, but somewhere down the line, if you ask some questions, somebody came from a broken home model, and they're just modeling that even in a two-parent home. Again, I always get leery when I see young men or men, and they have sons and daughters, and there's a man in that home, and the children are still wild. The children are still untamed. That lets me know that either the man is working too much, or the mother is not doing her job at home. She's not. Somewhere, the discipline and the structure is off. Someone's not enforcing that. Someone's not putting it in place. Make sense?
Right. Yeah.
Makes
Well,
sense.
some men fear their wives. Some men fear divorce. Some men actually fear the children being their wife, because we live in the era of the stepdad as well,
Yeah.
and you will have some women that will have this long list of things for the stepdad to do or not do in regards with the kids. But I'm like, you can't dictate what a man does. If you married him because you thought, or supposedly thought, if you have a good prerogative or thought process, you thought he was a good enough man to be around your kids. So if he's a good enough man to be around your kids, then why are you trying to dictate his masculinity towards cultivating your kids? It's ridiculous. And you have some men that fear that. You have some simps that fear that. This is maybe the only woman that I got, and I don't know what's out there. So, simp, and all these things like that, or I
Fear.
just don't want to cause it. Fear. Like some guys, when we was being raised as kids in the church, some of those church simps or even men outside the church was like, well, you don't want to. That's like kicking a beehive. You don't want to ask loaded questions. You don't want to make your wife mad. You don't want to this and you don't want to that. And it's like, well, dang. Well, you're a prisoner in your own home then. Now I see that as an adult. I wish I would have saw that as a kid. I would have been like, man, you're a defeated man. There's too many men that's defeated men in marriages and in households, all because they don't want to make their wife mad. Or I don't want to tell my wife that she needs to clean better because it's just going to cause problems in the house. Tell her. You know what I'm saying? You got men that work one job, two jobs, and will still come home and cook, still come home and clean because their wife is lazy. I've seen that too many times in church ministry. You have too many men, too many husbands supporting lazy wives, and they're afraid to tell them that they're lazy. They're afraid to tell them the truth because they're worried about them fussing. Forget her fussing. Let her fuss. Even if you get a divorce, don't fear divorce. Let her be out there in the world on her behind to see how she can deal with that. Stop sipping and being a crutch for your wife. Trying to be a crutch for somebody is bad in any instance. It doesn't change in marriage. Being a crutch for your friend is bad. Being a crutch for whatever society thing is bad. Being a crutch for an entity is bad. So being a crutch for a spouse, in this particular case, a wife, is bad. So that's the problem.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly what the problem is, man. You got any? We're gonna swing over. I'm gonna bring up another video, and we're gonna segue into. We talked about the decision making of women. We talked about who's raising these women that these women are choosing, and now we're going to talk about what a real man is. Right now, we're going to talk about the upbringing of a man. Right, we're going to talk about a real man dangerous but controlled. A real man